Hello, everyone. Back for another lectionary psalm reflection. And we hope you're enjoying these. We were just reflecting right before we hit record that we're also enjoying this very much. So we have a very familiar psalm today.
We do.
Which is Psalm 139, which is part of the greatest hits of the Psalms, along with Psalm 23. What'd you say, Cameron?
I said Stefan always claims that everything is his favorite scripture.
Yeah, it's easily my favorite. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, every theologian he ever quotes is his favorite theologian.
I don't know. I think I only say that about Leslie Newbegin.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever said it about John Calvin. So
he's up there. I like me some John Calvin. But Newbegin gets me right here.
Yeah, kind of up in the shoulder right there.
Right, yeah, right here.
right in that joint.
I was trying to get it on screen. Anyway, should we just read the psalm and get on with this?
Yeah, let's just get... Okay, Psalm 139, what is it? Verse 1 through
12, and then 23 and 24.
Okay.
All right, here we go. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
Thank you, Stefan.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll just kind of share a few thoughts, and then Cameron and Stefan, you can chime in with your amazing insights. Like I said, Psalm 139 is a beloved psalm. It's probably, the top 5 of most well-known psalms, but most beloved psalms too. But what's interesting about it, I was kind of reading some different commentaries, and there's a little bit of ambiguity in the psalm about God's omnipresence. So without a doubt, the psalm basically says God is everywhere. Like, you can't escape God. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, God is there. And it's like, is that a good thing or a scary thing?
Yeah.
And you can't quite tell from the very beginning, because the psalmist is just saying, no matter what I do, no matter where I go, even in the darkness, you're there. Like, it's just kind of this sense the psalmist is just saying, God surrounds me from beginning to end. And it could feel a little intimidating too. It's like the first 4 verses of the psalm are dominated by the word know. So God knows us completely, inside and out. You've searched me, Lord. You know me. You know when I sit, when I rise. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, Lord. And maybe because, of our early sin, Adam and Eve, humanity just struggles with shame. And so one of the first things we ever did is hide from God and run away. And so there's a sense here of like, there's no hiding. Even when you try to hide in the darkness, God is there. And being completely known. I mean, there's something that scares us about that, especially like if you're in a marriage situation, your spouse is probably the one who knows you the best. And being known feels amazing. It's comforting. It's encouraging, but it also um, it requires a tremendous amount of vulnerability, and um, it's just scary. Like being known completely is hard, and so I think there's a sense that we can run away. We can try to run away from God, and we can try to hide parts of ourselves from God. Um, but then in verse 10, the psalm the psalmist basically says, no, the fact that God is everywhere is a comfort, because it says, you guide me, you hold me fast. And let me just say this one last thing. At the end of the psalm, verse 23 through 24, it's the first petition that we find in the whole psalm. So the psalmist isn't really asking anything of God throughout the whole psalm except at the end. And the end is really a reiteration of the beginning of the psalm. But in the beginning of the psalm, it's a declaration. But at the end of the psalm, it's an invitation, which is kind of interesting to kind of think about. So anyways, let me just open it up now.
So you're saying, and I think this is great, that the only request in the psalm, which comes way at the end, is for God to continually do what he had been doing throughout the whole psalm.
Yeah. So at first it's kind of like, I can't escape, God knows me, help. But then at the end, there's this sense of inviting God to know you.
Yeah, that's a great insight. That's wonderful. I really identify with that kind of early anxiety that the psalmist has, especially verse 5, that you hem me in behind and before. Like, I get claustrophobic when I read that. Like, this thought of being hemmed in somewhere, like there's a needle and thread, and Stefan's getting put right where he needs to be, and I'm stuck there, and whatever aspects of my psychology, just like an alarm goes off, because I don't want to be hemmed in. I don't want to be told where I can be. I don't want to be limited physically or in other ways. So when I read that, I think, oh man, it gets me really anxious. But then to see that by the end of the psalm, the psalmist is appreciating and loving that intimacy and that knownness, and asking God to continue to do it. I think that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I've always read it quite differently. So I guess I've always sort of read it as a love poem. And what's interesting about it is sort of the perspective, which is it's like written to God from our perspective, but it's a poem about God's love for us, you know? So it's just, but I guess I feel like this sort of, I totally feel the sense of, being known in this psalm. But, like, for example, when it says, before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. Like this sort of like creepy thing that, God knows exactly what you're going to say before you even say it. And like, why bother even saying something? It's like that predestination idea. Why bother even like using your brain, because it's already like set into the universe, But I almost feel like, you think about, that marriage relationship where you sort of, can complete another person's thoughts, for example. Or you're saying something and it comes out totally not logical at all, but that person knows exactly what you mean. And I see it as like being a super comforting, like deep love. And I also see the middle, which we didn't read, which is part about being knit together. And I praise you because I'm, the idea of being fearfully and wonderfully made. I almost see that being sort of the central message of the psalm, and then sort of the the beginning and the end sort of resting on that middle section. So I've always just found incredible, I mean, in my sort of darkest hours, I've just found sort of incredible loving, like, intimacy with God. And I guess, I've never sort of thought, whenever I've read it, I've never sort of thought about sort of, the anxiety that that might come about by reading it.
Yeah, I totally understand that perspective. I think I've always read it too from a very positive
Hmm.
stance, but I also love God and trust God. So I imagine, some people could read it as like God is inescapable. And
Yeah.
if you're not a fan of God, that's not a good thing.
No, that's going to go poorly for you.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective, right? I guess yeah, I've always sort of read it as a Christian, so
Yeah, yeah,
You guys ever have you seen the movie The Truman Show?
yeah.
a long time ago, yeah.
Long time ago, right? Jim Carrey, and he's in this like like this reality TV thing where he's in this bubble. Um, I remember it being a pretty good movie.
It's pretty good.
So at the end of the movie, and I don't know if I'm going to spoil things or not, because I recommend the movie. It's a good movie.
Mhm.
He's on this sailboat and he's sailing, trying to get away because he's feeling very hemmed in. And he's
Yeah.
trying to sail away, and the nautical number on the sailboat is 139
Oh, really?
as a reference to Psalm 139. And so I remember, I think this is in college, like a professor pointed that out to us. And so we went back and we rewatched this movie from the perspective of Psalm 139. And it's like the whole thing's in there. It's really quite interesting.
Really?
Yeah, where he's like really feels like part of this community. He loves being, Mr. Happy-go-lucky social guy, and then he starts to feel like his world is all predestined for him, and it makes him really anxious. And then he gets into this fight with this, the guy who's making things in his life happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it ends up in a particularly like Christian place, or like that there's a some kind of Bible resolution to the movie, but but it is a really cool connection that kind of I think illustrates this tension that we're talking about, which is it's wonderful to be known, and yet it's also kind of terrified to be known, and it's wonderful to think that God has things in store for us, but it's also somewhat terrifying to think that God has things in store for us.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to do a screening of the Truman Show,
The Truman Show.
Mm.
or not.
Or not. Cameron, you are a fabulous musician. What have you discovered in terms of musical settings for Psalm 130? I'm sure there's lots of options.
Um,
Or maybe
I've
not.
been in a real like folky phase this week. It sort of changes from week to week, and so this songwriter Wendell Kimbrough, who is the same guy who wrote, I think he wrote "Who's Like the Lord Our God," which you've been singing around. He's a friend of a friend, friend of two of my friends. I haven't met him, but he's got this real sort of simple, acoustic, folky vibe, and yeah, I forget the name of the song. I don't know. It's one Psalm 139 is the name of the song.
The
Um,
Truman Show.
right, but it's really beautiful the way he sets it. Oh Lord, you know me and search me out. My habits and thoughts, my secret doubts, my dreams at night, the words of my mouth. In you, O Lord, I am found. In you, O Lord, I am found. And that's sort of the refrain over all of it. So just yeah, finding yourself in God, I think is just a super sort of beautiful idea. Because yeah, I mean, we find ourselves in ourselves, but ultimately, isn't that just God? That's what this psalm is kind of saying.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, at one point I memorized Psalm 139, and it's a beautiful practice if you can do it. It's a long psalm, but there's so many great lines in there. So either memorize it or just listen to Cameron's version over and over and over. All
Cool.
right.
This has ended too soon. It feels like we need to say something else. Maybe.
Drop some knowledge, Cameron. What do you got?
Drop a knowledge bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to I was the part about the darkness. I wanted to go into that. Like, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light. It's in quotes. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you.
Yeah.
I think of my 5-year-old who, bless her soul, is still kind of scared of the dark from time to time.
Mm.
And yeah, it's just and then looking into the fearfully and wonderfully made, like the meanings in these words are just so rich.
It's a really good psalm.
It's the top 10. It's top 5. Top 2. Is it Psalm 23 and Psalm 139? Is that the top 2?
This is my number 1, I think, at this moment.
You're only allowed one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna commit.
All right.
Okay.
I commit to love my wife and be known, and I commit to this psalm.
Those are the two.
Those are your 2 big commitments in life.
Yeah.
My goal now is to get you to commit to a 3rd thing. I don't know what it is. Tacos, something.
Mushrooms, yeah, that's...
Oh, we should talk about that someday. You're like an avid mushroom hunter.
Yeah, foraging has become a little secret hobby.
Yeah. We'll talk about that someday. Maybe we can, we should have talked about that in connection to searching. You search me. It's done with the same, God searches us out with the same intensity that Cameron has when he goes mushroom hunting in the forest.
Okay, now this is the time we should be ending.
Yeah, like 60 seconds ago.
All right, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you
All
tonight.
right. Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
O Lord, you know me and search me out, my habits and thoughts, my secret doubts, my dreams at night, the words of my mouth. In you, O Lord, I am found. Oh, in you, O Lord, I am found. I know not all my own heart and mind, my wandering soul, my sleepless eyes. I long for you, but from you I hide. In you, O Lord, I am found. Oh, in you, O Lord, I am found. Though darkness covers my hope and sight, and night overtakes my troubled mind, in darkness you, my daylight will shine. In you, O Lord, I am found. Oh, in you, O Lord, I am found. Where can I run from your love so deep, so boundless and strong, so rich, so free? No height nor depth can separate me. In you, O